Hello and a very warm welcome indeed to Sync Summit 2024. If you're joining us, yes, please. And how good it is to be here in person in Ithra in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So good to see so many in our spotlight session here. And if you're joining us online from around the world, or even if you're catching up, a very warm welcome to you as well. I'm Oli Barett, and it's an honor to be a co-MC across our two-day summit. Our theme for the two-day summit, digital well-being, but we call it confronting the digital paradox. And what does that mean? Well, it means that we're not afraid to say that there might be many challenges associated with digital technologies. However, there are also many, many benefits, and very often they go very closely together, and that's why we're exploring this. Now, this session is about an activity familiar to literally billions of people around the planet, and that is gaming. And the session is called Radically Positive Gaming. So we could easily do a session on all of the negatives, and let's be clear, we will touch on some of those in this session. However, we're giving ourselves full permission to talk about what some of the positive outcomes of gaming can be, and they are. And if you're joining us online, and if you're here with us in the cinema, we'd love your questions and your feedback and your thoughts as well. Right, I've got three absolutely brilliant guests. Why don't I get them out? When they're sat in their seats, I'll tell you exactly who they are. But by name, I'm going to welcome out into our cinema Mohammed AlShehri, Tyler Rice, and Dr. Anouk Tuijnman. Welcome, Tuijnman. Here they come through the doors. Tyler, welcome. Mohammed, welcome. Nice to see you. Now, we've had the chance to get to know each other a little bit. We had a fascinating Global Digital Wellbeing Assembly here in Sync when I got to meet a couple of the guests. It still didn't teach me to pronounce Dr. Anouk's surname, so I'm going to say Dr. Anouk Tuijnman.
Tuijnman.
Dutch scientific researcher from the Trimbos Institute. Welcome, Dr. Anouk. Nice to see you again. Mohammed AlShehri, known to many of our guests already, no doubt, here across the region. How to describe you? An athlete, a sports brand ambassador, a FIFA E World Cup winner. Are you taking issue with one of those words?
No, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
But I'm just a gamer in general.
Well, you're a guy that's very modest. No, well, I'm going to embarrass you some more then. You're also an esports team owner.
No, actually, I'm a member.
Oh, a member?
Yeah.
Well, you've been upgraded here. Unless someone's just bought one for you. Would you like to be an esports team?
I would, believe me.
Okay, well, that's the aspirational buyer for you. All right, well, we'll talk more about that. But if you put it in one word, it would be a gamer.
It is a gamer, yeah.
Yeah. Go on, give us a number. Have you got many followers?
I got 2 million followers on YouTube. Yeah.
2 million followers on YouTube. No mean accomplishment, and want to hear more about that, obviously. Now, Tyler Rice sits next to me, Chief Executive Officer of the Digital Wellness Institute, and we'll hear more about that in due course. Let me ask you a question, all three of you. Radically positive gaming. If you could only say one thing about our topic today, if the panel was like a minute and a half long, what would it be, Mohammed?
For me, gaming is positive in so many aspects, especially for me, it's my job. That's why for me it's getting better and better now. It's getting also a lot of feedback. Esport also here in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
It's getting the World Cup is going to be held after 2 months here in Saudi, so it's exciting.
It's momentous. So we're going to explore lots of that. Anouk, what would you say if you only had 30 seconds?
One sentence. Well, I'd say I want to introduce everyone to the possibilities of using games actually in healthcare, in learning, in the way we support young people. So
Love it. So
I'd love to talk more about that.
Piqued our imagination. Yeah. Tyler, where would you start?
I would say pro-social. I think one of the things that we apply at the Digital Wellness Institute is a positive psychological approach to all screen-mediated technology. Yeah. So when it comes to gaming, I think it's looking at the positives rather than the negatives and maximizing the point at which we are getting the most out of technology without technology getting the most out of us.
Right, a really important distinction, right. So what I'd like us to do is, and really I'm going to feed off your questions and feedback here at the Sync Summit, but Why don't we just take a few minutes to unpack a little bit about what you're up to in your work? And why don't you lead us off, sort of help us set the scene a little bit, what you're up to, why you're doing it?
Sure, yeah, thank you. I'm a researcher, actually, and I focus on many things in my research, but I want to highlight two things that are important for the topic of today. So I did my PhD work on developing and evaluating video games to actually help young people with depressive symptoms. And that is one example, the games that I developed, but I come from a lab where there are many examples where we develop games to support young people face the challenges they have in their day-to-day life. And so I think that video games are excellent tools for learning, for teaching, for experiencing. So that is one area that I do research in. And the other one is about the benefits that video games have and how to utilize them in your daily life, but also to work with the risks, because there are risks, of course, and it's about the balance between the two of them. And so I do research on how to teach parents, how to support young people in finding that balance. Yeah.
So we'll hear about some of those techniques. On the games that you've been involved in, that sounds to me like you're commissioning, designing, creating games specifically with one of the aims to be to alleviate depression.
Yeah.
Where have you got to on your evidence for their effect?
It's a very new field, and in research we're always really cautious in that. I don't design them myself. I work closely together with game designers because I think we should use their expertise, and then I can add my research and my knowledge on mental health. And so one of the games we developed was actually a game for schools, for groups of young people, to learn how to help a peer who is struggling with depressive symptoms. And they were actually in the game trying out different strategies to help their friend deal with that. And it was a feedback loop, like they got, like in a game, they got response to, am I doing the right thing, or should I try something else? And then we followed it up with a discussion in the group. And what I noticed there is that because they experienced it in the game, the discussion followed. It was easier to talk about the topic. They knew what they were talking about because they had the experience.
Interesting.
I think that is one of the key things.
The Great Ormond Street Hospital in London was recreated within Minecraft, and it was shown to dramatically reduce anxiety. This is a hospital for very poorly young people, children in particular. It was proven to dramatically reduce their anxiety pre-visit. When I go to the supermarket, we had this analogy a couple of days ago. I'm looking on the back of the packet for a green or a red to tell me how healthy something going to be. I mean, how helpful is that analogy? Are some games more harmful than others?
I think there are elements of games that might be more harmful. I think especially the elements where they push on the time and the money that children spend in games. And where it's not a choice of the player, but it's the game forcing them. So for example, a game forcing them to log on every single day to get a reward, I would say that is that's not so good of a design element, and it's not really helping the enjoyment or the engagement with the game. It's helping the business model. And so I would say that is more of a harmful one. But there are many examples of other games that teach knowledge, that teach skills, that people find relaxing, that they use in their life to enjoy themselves.
So this is going to spark loads of questions. I'm absolutely sure of that. And I want to hear your first-hand experience on this in a minute, Mohammed, about how it started and also some of the things that Anouk has been talking about. But Tyler, just set us up a little bit on what you're doing and why.
Yeah, I mean, so our focus at the Digital Wellness Institute is really multifold, but first we're educating individuals about the impacts that technology has on their lives. And we talk about compulsive design. Anouk, as you just described, the ways in which technology is designed in many ways to keep us hooked, to keep us engaged. And what we're really advocating for is a more human-centered approach to technology design, whereby the human is the person at the forefront of that rather than the profit of the game designers or the social media companies behind it. And my area of expertise is actually on the employee wellness space. So I focus on the ways in which technology impacts the employee experience, and the feelings of kind of being always on and constantly connected impacts the bottom line. So what we're really doing is we're making a business and an economic argument as to why digital well-being needs to be considered both for individuals and for companies.
Oh, that's very intriguing. So how and where does gaming come into that world then, Tyler?
Yeah, it's through that positive lens. So we've developed a model called the digital flourishing model, which I think has been described in previous sessions. But what it allows us to do is to understand how a piece of technology or a program or a tool actually helps us to improve in several areas of our life, whether that's our mental health, our physical health, our relationships. And so it allows us to apply this positive framework from which we can better assess whether a technology helps us to reach a state of flourishing and in what cases it actually detracts from our flourishing. So let's use gaming as an example, and I'd love to, if I may, ask Mohammed a question.
Go ahead.
So Mohammed, let's use the flourishing model to understand your relationships, right? And relationships is one of the 8 dimensions of digital flourishing. How does gaming help improve relationships, or have you found it to improve your relationships with others?
Does. Yeah, it does, because I've lived that example, me myself. One of my best friend for 15 years now, we met each other through gaming. We played with each other, and since this day, we're still playing. Yeah.
So that's an excellent example where it brings people together, and we cannot say that gaming as a piece of technology is negative. We have to look at the positives, and Mohammed met its best friend through it. That's
so hang on, you met through a game. How does and forgive me, gamers, everybody knows this, but if you're not a gamer, you might not know how that happens. Didn't happen to me when I was on Sonic.
Yeah, I don't think so.
How do you meet someone through a game?
In the lobby, online. Yeah, now you can play online.
The games have lobbies.
Yeah.
Right.
So we started talking. We understood each other's jokes, and then that spark kept growing.
All right. And then at some point you meet in what I'm going to call the real world. Do you know what I mean? Face to face?
Face to face, we met at school. Because I knew that he is studying in the same school that I am going there. Oh, I see.
The game, all right.
Yeah, through the game. And then we met the other day and started like, okay, let's go back home now and finish the mission that we have. And that keeps going and going until today.
I see what's happened. All right. I've got lots of questions about that. But Tyler, just very briefly back. If I create something, you used a word as if it was interchangeable. Engaged, hooked. If I create something very engaging, I'll probably get an award. If I create something that hooks people, that is a pejorative word. I'm going to be judged negatively for that. What's the difference?
Great question. I think it's the degree to which it aligns with our intentions. So, for instance, did I intend to play a game for, let's just call it 4 hours, right? Was that my intention? Or, frankly, was my intention to play it for 1 hour, and did it keep me hooked for those extra 3 hours such that my attention did not align with my intention?
But that is a complete dismissal of responsibility, though, isn't it? It's a bit like a tobacco company saying, I didn't mean to get you hooked. That's your choice. I only expected you to have one a day. No, Tyler, this is the point you've just made.
Yeah. Well, certainly there's a degree of personal responsibility and company oversight and responsibility that's needed for organizations and game designers. But that's what we're talking about. We're advocating for the intentional design. We're advocating for games that respect human attention. And Mohammed was making an excellent example actually in our prep session where he was saying that the gamers, essentially will find a game that does not do this well, and they'll revolt against it. They'll say, no, I don't want to play this game.
Yeah,
can you
that's actually true. There is something called microtransactions where you have to pay a little extra to be better than everyone else. And this is where the companies get benefited from. In the past, you used to buy the game, like you said yesterday. You buy the game for $60 and you get it all. Now you get the game for free, but if you want to be better or you want anything in the game, you have to pay for it. And this is where I'm against.
So I want to get your story sort of out there a bit more, but I do want to just circle around Anouk. Yeah. Scientifically, is there any distinction between something being highly engaging and highly addictive, or a hooking thing? Is there any? Are they the same thing?
Well, I think you thought that Tyler was mentioning that, but I wouldn't say that one game is either engaging or it's hooking someone like in the same game. I think the beauty of games is that there's such a variety, and there are games that really solely focus on that engagement without the dark patterns or the negativity, and there are games that really make their money on that negativity. Right. I think the beauty of gaming, which is why I'm sitting here to talk about radically positive gaming, is because there is so much choice. Yeah. There is so much out there that's good.
Right, you're right. I've made it too negative. Right, okay. I'm resetting this panel. Let's play the sting again. Mohammed, how did you get into gaming then? Because you didn't have 2 million followers overnight.
No, I didn't. I started gaming in 2012, I guess. And
when you were how old, may I ask?
I was too young. Maybe 13, 12 at that time. Right. And now I'm 27. I don't know, do the math.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not that good at math. So I started gaming, and it got I got more hooked into it because I've lived so many stories in games. I just close the door of my room and stay there playing for hours and hours because I'm living a story. I'm the main hero. It's like watching a movie, but you are the main hero. Every decision that you made will impact the story. So I got into gaming more and more.
Yeah.
And then I started my YouTube channel in 2019 because I thought, well, wait, I'm gaming now. I can get benefit from that. So I started and I got 100,000 subscriber in 5 days because people loved the way I play. People loved the way I talk. I engage with the game, and till this day.
And just to be clear, forgive me if everybody knows this, but the YouTube channel you're starting isn't just you saying, "Hi, I'm Mohammed. Here are some of my thoughts on the world." This is explicitly about your gaming.
Exactly. Yeah.
And watching you game.
Exactly. And the game that I was playing, some of you said it was. I played Minecraft. It's a game known to be for little people, but I'm playing it since that day.
So let's just capture that experience there. Let's riff around some of the positives for you in that moment. It allowed you to be someone else, but also for the people tuning in. What are they getting out of it? What is uplifting in it?
Nowadays I see they build a community around it. Now people, like I said, they're waiting for me to post a video so they can talk about it, share their thoughts about it. There is a little community they did because they have something in common.
Yes.
They would see me do something in the game and they would, okay, I'll do the same thing that you've did. How did you do that? And it's more engaging now. It's not you playing alone. There is hundreds of people playing with you.
So in what way do you think of yourself as an influencer, as influential?
I would say so, yeah.
What can you influence them about?
In games, maybe the way they play the game, because there is always something new in the game that you have to discover. Yeah. It's not a linear path. You can do whatever you want. It's an open world. You can just go and have fun and just your imagination is your limit.
And on engagement and what you're unlocking there, how is there a distinction between streaming live versus publishing sort of asynchronously? How does that work?
There is a big difference between them. For me, I don't stream as much, but I make videos. So I play for like 3-4 hours and then take it all up and cut it up to 20-minute video and take it put it on YouTube. Yeah.
And presumably at some point, this became, let's just be blunt about it, this became commercial?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does that happen then? That's positive? That's positive?
It is positive.
Is it radically positive?
It is radically positive, yeah.
Tell us how you did that then.
I know through a lot of my friends and also watching foreigner YouTubers that, okay, YouTube does give you money for what you do. It's hard work. You stay there and play for 4 hours, 6. Yeah. So in a point, if I told my father, like, I'm going to be making money through playing video games, he would have laughed at me. But now he is the biggest supporter. He wanted to be here.
Now you've bought him a
hello,
car.
Father. Yeah.
That's amazing. And by the way, what about joining it up to education? It's a slightly personal question. How do you get on at school? Do you think gaming could have been combined with education? Are they totally different things?
No, they're different. Or maybe the way that my father gave it to me. Because I got my first console as a prize. If you did good at school, I'm going to buy you the first console. And I think everyone here had the same experience. Yeah. So when I got my console and I started playing, and if I wanted another game, he would say, okay, now you have to get a straight A in this subject, and you're going to get the game. So
Okay, but aside from incentives, or even taking it away, hiding the Wi-Fi password and all that, or changing it every day, do you think games could help you learn stuff?
Yes, as you can see, English is not my first language, so I learned English through playing video games because there aren't many Arabic games.
So just explain.
Hopefully one day.
Just explain how you learned through video games.
Well, you have to, because where there's a mission that you have to complete, but I don't know what does he want from me? So I go and take the word, translate it, know what that word is, and they'll come back to the game and finish the mission.
Amazing.
So for me, it was educational.
So my next question is really, what is this conversation from our three brilliant guests doing to your minds? What's it sparking? What are you thinking? What are you questioning? What have we not touched on yet that you would actually secretly like to know? So I won't force you to say, or even ask you to say if you don't want to, who you are or where you're from. So you can be whoever you like to be to ask a question. You can ask online as well if you're tuning in live. I see questions going right in the front row here, and they're lovely to see you. Welcome, Henry. Just right in the front row here. Welcome to Sync Summit. Thank you. We'll just get a microphone so everyone can hear you online. Thank you. Well, we'll just bear with us for a second there. Should be on try again. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. We are glad to be here. And my teenage nephew, he's with me because of Mohammed. We heard a lot of beautiful highlights about gaming and how its impact on socially, psychologically. And I don't want to be negative, but we cannot forget the dark side of it. And I'm talking about addiction and how the teenager especially is spending a lot of time in the gaming. And the gap between the parents and teenager and understanding that they are having fun and so on and so on. So how we can help the teenager from diverting from having good time to being addictive to it?
Great question. Great. Who would like to start on that one?
I think you would love to answer that.
I would like to start. Thank you for your question. I get that question a lot from parents as a researcher. I think I want to highlight that there is a small group of young people that actually experiences problems due to gaming, but that is a small group. And we're only talking about problematic gaming or addiction when it's causing problems in other areas of their lives. It's not necessarily the number of hours they put in it. It's the influence or the impact it has on the rest of their life. Now, if we talk about prevention, how can you prevent these problems? Not just for the small group who actually needs treatment, but maybe the group before that as well. I tell parents that to start early with a conversation about gaming, to engage in gaming together, to talk about what are their children doing in the game, what are they experiencing, but also talk about what you need for a healthy week, for a healthy life, how many hours do you spend on that, and what is left for gaming. Turn it around. Don't talk about the number of hours of gaming. Talk about the number of hours you spent on other activities. What's left? That's your gaming time.
Yeah. Now, I really want to get everyone in on every question, but tell me if you really want to come in on this. But Mohammed, I have to ask you, so many positives. Have there been times when you've thought there's a part of what I'm doing here with gaming that could be unhealthy?
Yes.
Tell us a bit more if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind. When you put so much time into one thing, no matter what it is, it's going to turn out bad. So you have to find the right balance between the two, because I had so many opportunities where my friends go watch a movie and wait guys, I have to finish this mission, then I'll follow you. And then the movie is gone. So
and Tyler, come in momentarily, but what would you say, Mohammed, to somebody who's tuning into this that says, a little bit like you might say about certain food or caffeine, you might say, look, this is enjoyable to me, but not in excess, and I'm struggling. I just need to get it back in balance. What would your advice be, your practical advice?
Give yourself a limit. Give yourself 1 mission, 2 mission. Gamer would know what I'm talking about. When you do that, you just feel that sense of satisfaction that you finished the mission or a level, then you can just go on with your life.
But anyone who's tuned into Netflix and they see the countdown, they want another episode, don't they? How do you stop staying on? You have to be strong. Really, you have to be strong to resist this feeling of that you want to continue. I think it's really refreshing that you're honest about your own path on that. That's helpful.
Yeah, I am.
Thank you. Tyler?
I just want to reiterate, I think it's really important to think about so many things that are probably great for us. However, when used in excess, right, it becomes problematic. And I think I wanted to share with those parents in the audience, when specifically we use the term, I think, addiction, especially to younger audiences or a younger individual, that term is so weighted, right? And when you think about addiction, you think of so many negative things. And to put a young person in that same position can put them in the defensive, right? And so it flips the conversation from one where they are seeing their parents as maybe not understanding them, maybe thinking that they're an addict, and they think, oh my goodness, am I an addict, right? And so I think it's really important to think about problematic usage. And when we think about problematic usage, we can have problematic gym usage. We can have problematic healthy eating standards, right? All of these things that are healthy when moderated. However, when used in excess, that's when it becomes problematic. So really I like to apply that framework to this
Thank you, Tyler.
conversation.
Let's get more questions. I'm looking around. I'm going to come right back down here to Henry, but it's made me revealing a great entrepreneur in the audience. And I'm looking around our auditorium. I see you there. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed, Oli. Firstly, on behalf of the entire audience here, can I say thank you to the entire panel. This is so enthralling. Mohammed, I have a question for you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
You've spoken about your transition from gamer to content creator, and obviously the power that's come through that. Could you explain to people about the transition you've then seen from gamer to esports, and how that has actually helped to, both for you personally, but also the influence and the sphere of influence that you can have positively?
Okay, I'm not an esport player because there is a big difference. If you want to be an esport player, you have to put in the hours for it. So I'm a content creator where I just play games for fun, actually. Esport players take it to another level. They are more competitive. They are more, they practice more. And they choose one specific game that they focus on, and they get better at it, and then they can be an esport player in that field. Yeah.
So what you're saying is you could be an esports player.
And it's not going to be as easy. Like you said, Tyler, yesterday, if you wanted to be a footballer, you're going to play, but the chances of you being a footballer is really, really low. Yeah. So
now, this is such an obvious question, right? But what do you say to someone, maybe of a different generation, who says, I see thousands of people gathering in an arena to watch others play video games, and I don't understand the joy and the excitement that they're feeling. Help us just understand how uplifting that can be. What's happening?
We all support one team in football, maybe. I support Al Hilal. So when I'm watching a game for Al Hilal, I want them to win so bad. But when I support a team, like now I'm supporting Falcons. So I go there and watch people play something that I know, something that I'm familiar with. So I want them to win. It's exciting, the rush you feel, okay, go now around the corner, there is someone. You see that, you engage with it, just like football. It's
arguably
exciting.
More interesting than kicking a ball around.
For me it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything about it.
No, that really helps us. Okay, let's get more questions. There was an offer here just in that second row, and one behind, actually, if you don't mind. Can we just get yeah, this is helpful. It's on its way. Thank you. I'm just looking around the cinema so I don't miss other rows. Thank you. Brilliant. I'll come back up there. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to Sync.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your... I want to ask a question about how can you split and differentiate your mind between being in gaming and in real life? Like as Mr. Mohammed said, when you are gaming, you live like a story. You are focusing. So like sometimes like children or some gamers, like when they are doing some real life work or something like that, maybe they are thinking they are in a game. So how can your mind split between being in reality and being in virtual world? Thank you.
That is a strong question, actually. For me, I didn't start my YouTube channel until 2019. And I made a promise to myself that I'm not going to start my YouTube until I finish college. And I did that. I made the split. It was a decision at that time. And I made that decision. You have to be strong to take the decision. Now I have to focus on my job, my school, and then I would go back to gaming. And it's easy. It's not that hard. Yeah.
How would you come in, Anouk?
Yeah, may I also highlight that there's not a offline real world and a gaming world, especially for youth. It is one. It's a hybrid world we live in, and I see a lot of young people actually playing games, but also talking about these games. At school with their friends. So it's a very social activity that there's not really a distinction between the two. So, I mean, I sometimes have the feeling when I'm in a car, am I driving in a game or am I driving in a, that's a different rule. But in general, I think young people really know the difference between, what is actually the game and what is not in the game. But it's a hybrid world. It overflows. But research shows that there's a lot of discussion about violent video games, for example, and people say, oh, the violence you might see in a video game transfers to the offline world. That's not really the case. People can distinguish between the two. It's not that the violence you show in a game transfers to violence in real life. For most of the people, that is not the case. No.
No, absolutely. You're right to focus on that vast majority. Right. I want to get more questions because we've got just under 10 minutes left. And there was an offer just behind, and then I see, right, if you wouldn't mind just coming back down here, just to this fifth row. Thank you very much. Keep your hand up. So that's great. And then we're going to go right to the back.
Assalamu alaikum. I wanted to ask Mr. Mohammed, how can rage in a game affect you in the future? For example, if I rage on a simple game, for example, I play FIFA, and sometimes I rage. So I want to know, does it affect you mentally in the future, or it's normal thing? Thank you.
So what's this question about? When you say rage, are you talking about anger, or is this a gaming term?
No, I think I understand what he's saying.
Forgive me, help us translate.
Yeah.
Forgive me, that's my ignorance.
It's a competitive world out there. When you play FIFA, Fortnite, Call of Duty, any game that is competitive, you want to win. You have the skills, you put on the time, and you played for hours and hours. Now, you want that win so bad.
Yes.
But sometimes there is that other guy who is just a bit better, who played a bit more, who would cause you that rage. Maybe, yeah, would cause you that rage. Okay, he got the game. He got it. Now I have to do it again.
Yeah, and
so
that's how chilled you are, is it, Mohammed?
Yeah.
I mean, we all get angry in life. It's not just in games. I think we all need to learn how to deal with our emotions, how to deal with anger in the game. I would say if you throw your controller to the screen, that's maybe not a good idea. But I mean, we all need to learn how to deal with our anger. If it's in a game or if it's offline, it's the same principle basically. Yeah. But don't throw your controller at the TV screen. It's quite costly.
Exactly. There's an economic disincentive there. Okay. All right. So a question right at the back here, and then we'll try and get some more in as well. Welcome.
Thank you again. I wanted to go back to the question of violence in the game because there's so much proliferation of violence. And you say that there is no correlation between what people see and play and how they translate it into their real, regular lives. But is that in fact the case? And especially if younger and younger people are exposed to this violence and it becomes so normalized in what they see and in the games that they play. How is that being translated? Because there is equal studies that show that there is an increase in violence and violence behavior in schools. And we're seeing it as people start to grow because that becomes now their norm.
So the research on aggression and video games is a very complicated one. It's been for a long time. I think for a long time we thought that there was actually an impact. If we now sum up all the studies that there are, I would say the conclusion is that violence in video games doesn't translate directly to violence in the offline world. There is a select group of people who are more prone to violence in general, not necessarily because of the game, but they are more prone to violence, and they might get more agitated and more worked up because of a game, or they seek out aggressive video games because their personality is more aggressive. So there is a little bit of literature on that, but in general, if we sum up all the work there is really no proof for violence causing violence from a video game to the offline world. But for your second question, of course, just like with TV and with other media, there is of course an age limit. We don't like I don't show my 5-year-old daughter or my 2-year-old son content where people are hitting each other, because they don't understand yet that that is a story, but not the real world. Or
Except
you know.
Anouk.
So
well,
you think about the age that a child is able to process the violence in a way that they understand that it's part of the game, but not something you should do in an actual social interaction.
Isn't sort of physical violence hitting each other? Isn't that the root of all cartooning since Tom and Jerry onwards?
I saw
isn't that what they
SpongeBob
do?
just recently, and I was like, oh, well, that's quite violent, actually.
Well, it is.
SpongeBob.
Well, maybe it's
hitting
changing. Let's just go super quick fire so we get some more questions in. Tyler, I want to understand. So much in the world of work is more boring than it needs to be. Whether that's on training, whether it's on getting accreditations. What do you think the employers here can take from radically positive gaming to enhance these experiences? What lessons should we be learning?
Gosh, we need to incorporate gaming into our learning. How many people here have been through a boring training, a boring course, right? At the Digital Wellness Institute, we incorporate gaming into all of our courses because it's educational, it's fun, it's engaging, and we do that in a way that is radically positive.
And have you got a sense of uplift on engagement results, retention?
92% of employees that take our courses recommend them to friends, which I think is, I haven't seen the data across other employer trainings, but I have to imagine that is far and away superior to other trainings.
Yes, I would strongly suspect so. So let me just look around our cinema. I see that's very patient. Why don't we come just here in the middle, please, and then just on the wing as well. Thank you. Right in the middle. Thank you. With your hand in the air. That's kind. Thank you. Hello.
Hello, everyone, and thank you. This was very insightful. You talked a bit about the importance of having more games that aren't very addictive, but how would you convince businesses, for example, to invest in them? Because they obviously want to profit, so how would you convince them? And also, how would you also convince consumers to go for these games? Because a lot of times they do want to go back for a game and play with it. So how would you go about that?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Great question. I think that there needs to be general consensus and awareness amongst the gamers themselves, and much like we just described, I think there needs to be an element of how to describe it. Essentially, putting yourself ahead of other people. And so I want to think about the value of our attention, right? And we need to think about, is my attention put elsewhere more valuable to me than it is to the gamers, or the game owners? If we were to quantify the value of human attention in 2022, and I study specifically in advertising, so I think it's similar to gaming, but essentially all of the petroleum exports in the OPEC region in 2022 were valued at $622 billion, okay? The value of the global marketing industry was $854 billion. So if we were to take all of human time and energy and attention and quantify that on a dollar-by-dollar basis, on a minute-by-minute basis, the marketers are essentially quantifying our attention 1 minute at 1 fraction of a penny. So I often like to think, okay, gaming, similar story. Is my attention more valuable to me doing something else, or is it valuable to the gamers and to the game owners? Do I want to give my attention, my lucid gold, as I call it, to somebody else, or do I want to hold it for myself?
Really interesting framing. So I'm very conscious of our final minute. We'll just get a very short question from a patient gentleman just halfway up here, and then we're going to get beaten by the clock. I see so many questions. Thank you.
Yes, as a parent, how would you protect your child from negative invaders, negative intruders who come, into the game? How would you make sure that they are not dealing with these negative people?
Yeah, really, really good question, Mohammed.
So I think that's why parents should be more interactive with their children. You have to know what the games are that they are playing. Who are the people that they are playing with? If they are some of their friend, that's cool. That's gonna be okay. It's fine. It's the same age group as them. But there are people who are older and play games that are for children, for just like Roblox. It's a game that is for young people.
Yes.
So you have to be engaging with your child. You have to know
100%. Right. So we've got 1 minute left, and I'm going to get a 20-second answer. I see your question, but I invite you to meet our guests. I'm going to get them to. Would you mind just staying for a few minutes afterwards? Come and meet in person, please. Because of our live audience, we'll end on time with 1 minute added by me, which is to say, what's the one thing, we've not scripted this question at all, what's the one thing you wish more people understood about gaming? That's my question. Go, Anouk.
That's a difficult question.
It
of
is.
course. The one thing, because there are a million things I would like to to share. I would say just how much fun it is, and I would say try it and see how much fun it is, especially as a parent. Go play together, because the benefit of playing together, it's huge. It's huge. Yeah.
Love that idea.
Yeah.
Very briefly, forgive me, Tyler.
I would say the breaking of barriers, right? Gaming is something that unites everybody regardless of where they are in the world, who they are, what they believe. And it's something that I think for younger generations, it's building a global community, which I think is radically positive.
Yes, such a positive idea. Thank you. Mohammed.
So it's something that you can get knowledge from. And the only limitation in gaming is your imagination. You could, like I said earlier, you can play as a samurai, a cowboy, a Greek god, things that you have never thought you would experience, but in gaming you would.
Whole new worlds.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you for helping us explore them today. And we will continue to follow all of your work, and I will be 2,000,001. Thank you for sharing so generously with us at Sync Summit. So Tyler, Mohammed, Anouk, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Oli.
Thank you.